Yeah, let's talk about fathers' rights. I would say it's a great time to be a father in California. It's very much even on paper. And if you know what you're doing as a father, it's very likely you're going to get 50% custody of your children, meaning that you're going to get joint and equal physical custody, not to mention joint and equal legal custody. So great time to be a dad in California. And if you are a conscientious parent and want to spend time with your children, you're going to likely get a 50% order from most of these judges now. The presumption that I see with most judges is we're going to assume that these parents are going to share these kids 50-50 until I'm convinced that that would not be in the best interest of the children. And the presumption is that 50-50 equal time sharing is in the best interest of the children. The best interest of the children is kind of a generic term, meaning that the state presumes in most cases that children need a mother and a father, and that the children's best interests are going to be served by spending equal time with those parents. It's not a real specific finding. Parents don't go into court and try and prove that they're the better parent, because it doesn't matter who's the better parent. The policy of the state of California is that children need a mother and a father, and that a mother and a father give children different things, both of which they need. I think it's really important that you stay away from any type of angry or toxic messages. Everybody has sent messages to their significant other at various times that would be considered upsetting. And part of the law in domestic violence is, and part of the case law, there's a case called Nad Carney that talks about how you can be found to have perpetrated domestic violence simply by repeated messages that would disturb the peace of a reasonable, normal person. So you got to be really careful. If your significant other is sending toxic, upsetting text messages or emails to you, do not respond in kind. You have to learn to be very, very cordial in all of your communications, including your electronic communications. If you bite on what they're serving up, the bait they're trying to give you to get you into a verbal confrontation or an email confrontation, those messages do not play well in a sterile courtroom on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. They don't go over well. In fact, it's very easy for courts to overreact to messages that seem to be reasonable at the time, but can be taken way out of context. So you do not want to get involved in threatening, toxic messages with your significant other. Just ignore it or respond briefly. Give them a response. It's brief, informative, friendly, and firm, and do not go back and forth with them. Set a boundary and cut off communications like that. Well, I think that you don't have to do that much documentation of your involvement with the child. Obviously, pictures are great. Let's say you're a father and you have allowed your spouse or your significant other, the mother of the children, you've allowed them to do most of the work and take the laboring orb of the children. If you want to, you can be more involved in that child's life. Just by virtue of the policy of the state of California, you should be able to get a 50-50 custody award unless you've committed some type of spousal battery or you're found to have been the perpetrator of domestic violence. You should be able to get substantial time with that child. And it is true that children really do need both parents. What should you do if you're a father? Should you wait till your significant other or your spouse files a legal case against you? I think it's a terrible idea, because I think that women can be, I'm just going to say it, I think they can be very effective witnesses. And a lot of times there's a lot of emotion that goes into their testimony, and it can be very convincing to a judge. So if you're a father and you sense that divorce is imminent, it's a much better idea for you to file your case first, to be the petitioner and to be able to tell your story first. The order of filing has huge implications. If you are unfortunately not the one who filed first, you have to deal with it. In any event, you need legal counsel, but super important if you can to control the process and control the narrative. And the way you do that is by filing first. being the petitioner. And by the way, I understand that somewhere over 75% of divorce cases are filed by the female in the marriage. And if it's a man-woman marriage, 75% of those petitions are filed by the female. And I think that does give them a significant advantage. If you're a father, we will protect your rights. Call the Bledsoe firm.